Today's podcast is sponsored by Healthycell. Reach your potential, guys. Get 20% off your first order with promo code Carter. That's CARTER at healthycell.com/Carter. Well, it happened. It actually happened. Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion, guys. How amazing is that? This is a huge win for free speech. I've been talking about it for some time, and I will share some other reasons this is really an important change that most people are not talking about. And I got to tell you, for me, what Elon Musk has done is going to make him a national treasure. He's already a national treasure, in my opinion. We have a man who wants to save humanity. We have a man who is working towards protecting our environment. I mean, and I'm not, a big one to bang on those drums, but, this is so funny for the left to come after him on this when he's like the one person that is actually tangibly doing something to save humanity's future and to save our planet. So interestingly enough, we'll talk about all of that. Plus, I am once again at the U.S.-Mexico border. Guys, I'm in Eagles Pass, Texas. It is been a really tough week for the family of Specialist Bishop Evans. He was a National Guardsman from Arlington, Texas, here, the Texas National Guard, who lost his life as he was saving others in the Rio Grande. And that river is something fierce. And I'm going to be talking to my friend and former Border Patrol agent, Gary Brugman, about the tragic drowning of Specialist Bishop Evans. Do not forget his name. He is everything a parent or grandparent, his grandparents raised him, and he is a hero. He is everything that everybody should want for a child. I mean, somebody who's willing to put his own life second for that of others. And the tragedy here is those others were moving narcotics across that river. And it was just a really tough day on the border as they found his body out here. And it was kind of, obviously we didn't know when or where, of course, that body would be found. People had assumed that he had died, drowned, in the river when he attempted to save, and he did save the lives of two others. But they found the body just as a Codell with Kevin McCarthy, House Minority Leader, was down here investigating and meeting with Border Patrol officials and Texas DPS officials about the disaster and the crisis that is the U.S. southern border. I'll get into that and a lot more. Please follow and subscribe. Get all the links at SaraACarter.com. That is SaraACarter.com. And while you are there, please sign up for our email list so that you don't get shadow banned, right? We are working hard on this. We're talking about this every single day. Look, it isn't something that, the right made up years ago. I mean, Elon Musk could see it was happening. Others can see it's happening. And now we're going to have forums again. Truth Social is amazing. By the way, President Trump sent out a message to my email, basically, because I'm on their email list. See, I'm on their email list. You could be on my email list, but basically just sent out a message from the Save America PAC saying that Truth Social is number one in the Apple App Store. So we've got Truth Social, number one. Devin Nunes, my good friend, is going to be coming on this show as well in the near future to talk about that. He is now running Truth Social, and Twitter is now number two on the top free apps offered by Apple. So you can see that the American people are yearning for freedom and yearning for a place to speak freely, right? Before I get to Gary, before I get into the details of Elon Musk and all the crazy stuff that is coming out of the Biden insane White House, as I like to call it, I want to talk to you a little bit about a product called EdenPure. And it's amazing. I know because I have 3 dogs. I've got kids in my house. I have, we're cooking all the time. We always have barbecues. We always have people over, and things don't always smell as nice as I would like them to smell. But I have EdenPure now, EdenPure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. And what it does is it brings back the clean smell to your home. It brings back that fresh, brand new smell of a clean house. Like when you first walked in it and someone wanted to sell it to you, that's it. And right now with the current offer, you can save $200. Listen to this, on 3 units of EdenPure Oxy Leaf number 2 Thunderstorm. All you have to do is use the promo code SARA3. That's SARA3. use the promo code SARA3, SARA3, and get the EdenPure Thunderstorm air purifiers. Proven oxy technology will quickly, and I'm telling you right now, destroy not only the smells, but viruses, mold, and so much more. I'm telling you, I have 3 of them in my house. I don't even smell my dogs anymore. Right now, you can save $200 on the EdenPure Thunderstorm 3-pack with the promo code SARA3, that's Sarah3. Get full coverage for your kitchen, office, bedroom, and anywhere you want to get rid of odors. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and put in discount code Sara, SARA3, to save $200. Now, let's just jump right into this because Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion. He made it happen. He said he was going to do it. He held them accountable. Look, they should have taken the $53 billion deal right at the, they lost like $9 billion on that. Now he got it for $44 billion and he's going to turn it into a private company. Here's his statement. Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. I also want to make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam bots, which is so important, by the way, and authenticating all humans. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the communities of users to unlock it. The left is not happy. The left is not happy. Why? Because right now, he can see everything that was going on with those algorithms. And I saw algorithms at play even in my own Twitter account. We could see it because, you would get to a certain level of people. I remember when they knocked me down, it was over 100,000 at one point. And I mean, some of it was bots, but there was a lot of reasons people would contact me and say, hey, look, I was following you and all of a sudden I'm not following you anymore. These are real people. And we'd have to refollow each other. But that, you can't do that with 100,000 people. You can do that with a few people that are your friends. And so my numbers I'm over 1.3 million, but my numbers got lower and then they would just stay there. So anytime they got to getting close to 1.4 million, they would get knocked down again. Anytime it got close to another number, it would get knocked down again. So we could see there was some kind of rhythm to what was happening, some kind of algorithm that kept my numbers at a certain pace and also I believe was masking itself so people couldn't see it. It would be crazy. We would have some tweets that should and in the past would have gone viral and all of a sudden it was only retweeted by a certain number of people, so only a certain number of people could actually see it. I'm really hoping now that Elon Musk has Twitter that we can see the difference, that we can make a difference. And by the way, the Twitter board was horrible. And the people that were running Twitter, Jack, you did a terrible job in the end. I mean, you were focused more on meditating and smoking pot than taking care of business because the whole thing was that Twitter wasn't making any money, really. I mean, its price to ratio, its earnings were not there. I mean, it's an amazing functioning town square. I agree with Elon Musk, for democracy. It is a place where we can get our ideas out and share those ideas with people all over the world, whether we like them or not, we can debate them there. But it wasn't really functioning as a company. It wasn't bringing back money. It wasn't utilizing all the tools, all the potential that it could possibly have for the future, right? It wasn't doing that. But the left really is not happy. And by the left, I mean the wonderful leftist, socialist, who works for President Biden and does all of his bidding, Jen Psaki, who is going to MSNBC or MSDNC, as my good friend Sean Hannity likes to say. She says the president believes tech platforms must be held accountable for the harm they cause. But they don't want to be held accountable, guys, because remember, they don't have to pay the price that they get off scot-free. They basically want to be free and clear of any kind of lawsuits, even though they want to edit like a paper that can be sued. So they always got away with whatever they wanted, but they acted like a publisher. They really did. You had Twitter acting like a publisher, but yet you couldn't hold them accountable for anything. So Jen Psaki says the president believes tech platforms must be held accountable for the harm they cause. Listen to this.
Well, I'm not going to comment on a specific transaction. What I can tell you as a general matter, no matter who owns or runs Twitter, the president has long been concerned about the power of large social media platforms, the power they have over our everyday lives, has long argued that tech platforms must be held accountable for the harms they cause.
Oh, please. They use the tech platforms for their own benefit, even during the last election. And they're consistently lying. And by the way, they were banning true stories. True stories, Hunter Biden laptop story. They banned it. They kept it from you, from the American people before the election. Because what? Why? Because they wanted to win. Because they knew that if you realized how corrupt the Biden family and the Biden machine were, then you probably wouldn't vote for him. Right? And now you can see why. This is the worst president. He actually makes Jimmy Carter look great. Listen to, oh gosh, this guy's the worst. He's Mr. Potato Head. Over at CNN, Brian Stelter was horrified by the thought of more freedom on Twitter. I mean, this guy's nuts.
Look, who knows? I think that's an example of a broader question for Twitter, which is, if you get invited to something where there are no rules, where there is total freedom for everybody, do you actually want to go to that party? Or are you going to decide to stay home? And that's a question for Twitter users.
Please, you stay home, Brian. That's where you belong. Just stay home, and we'll make sure to monitor your television programming. I will put a child safety lock on it so you can't accidentally get harmed by anything that you might be viewing. But listen to this. But Ari Melber over at MSNBC might be the most tone deaf of all. He said, I mean, this is coming from Ari Melber, and you guys probably don't even know who he is, right? Okay, good. I don't even care if you know who he is, but you got to listen to what this guy says, because there's a lot of people who are as tone deaf as he is. He is terrified that Twitter could end up playing favorites due to politics. Oh my, what, like the Biden administration? Listen.
If you own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates, all of its nominees, or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff and turn up the reach of something else, and the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election. Elon Musk says this is all to help people because he is just a free speech, philosophically clear, open-minded helper.
I got to tell you this. Elon Musk knows what's going on because he's been watching, and he's a brilliant man. And he sees what people are doing, and he sees what the company was doing on, and those by the board, and by those who are running the company. And he knows that people were being banned and shut down. They couldn't even talk. Juanita Broderick banned. Anytime you said anything about the left, you were banned. Anytime anybody opened up their mouth about anything that the left did not agree with, they were banned. You know what they're freaking out about? They're freaking out that they have been caught red-handed with their hands in the cookie jar, in the freedom jar. And I love there's this drawing that's out there. It's a cartoonist who drew it. And it's Elon Musk opening this cage and letting the Twitter, the bird free. Let the tweet be free, right? We are smart enough to make our own decisions, folks. We don't need babysitters. We need to hold people accountable who are breaking the law. Yes, people cannot cross certain lines, and they should not cross certain lines. And we know what those lines are. Child pornography, causing harm to others, things of that nature. But people should be allowed to speak freely. Look at what happened when the New York Post ran the stories on Hunter Biden's laptop, which we all knew in Washington, D.C. I was friends with people that had that laptop. I talked to people about that laptop. That laptop was real. That laptop was real. Every story that was written by Miranda Devine at the New York Post was real. Every story written by the other authors at the New York Post that time was real. John Solomon's stories were real. My stories were real. And guess what? When the left controlled those platforms, they stopped those stories from coming forward. And not only did they stop them, their friends in the mainstream media, yes, the mainstream media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and others, they hid the truth from the American public. But remember what they did to President Trump? Remember what they did there? It wasn't just about hiding the truth. It was about using those platforms as a weapon to target him. And by the way, a lot of information is coming out now. A lot of people aren't following right now all the little details, But John Durham is coming out with a lot of information. And I'm going to be talking about that in future podcasts. In fact, I'm going to be writing a story about that, about how the media was collaborating with, Fusion GPS, which was the security firm that basically hired Christopher Steele to put together the fake dossier against President Trump. So I want you to understand, I truly believe that the platform must be open for all debate. If you believe in the Constitution and you believe in free speech, then yes, I do want to hear the liberal side of things too. I do want to hear what the left and the Democrats have to say. But by God, don't stop me from saying what I need to say too. Let the platform be open so that we can learn from one another and make the platform something spectacular, because it really can be. And I really believe somebody who thinks outside of the box, like Elon Musk, will do that. I don't think he's going to shut down the left or Democratic ideas or, the liberal ideas. I think he's saying, look, let's have a platform where we don't have algorithms monitoring every single person that we don't like and shutting them down. Let's have a place where we can be free to debate, be free to talk to one another, do what our founding fathers did initially, right? Make this country a place of freedom, but not use these tools, these very powerful tools, to control and harm us, because that's exactly what was happening. I really think, and I truly believe this, tell me if I'm wrong, you can write me and let me know, but I think Elon Musk really is a national treasure. I really do. I think what he has done is significant beyond what we even can comprehend right now. Eventually, we will see it. And why? Because he believes, he follows through. He doesn't just say things. He puts his money where his mouth is and he makes it happen. So thank you so much, Elon Musk. Thank you for giving back freedom to our country and doing it in such a way that we now have a town square where I think the American people can fully debate all ideas, whether we agree with them or not. We have a place where we can talk and learn from one another. Before I get to my good friend and former Border Patrol agent, Gary Brugman, I want to talk to you about a product that I absolutely love. I don't think I've talked enough about this product. It is so great, guys. I'm telling you, you have to try it. It's called Healthycell. It's the next generation in dietary supplements. If you take supplements in pill form, I'm telling you, you're going to get rid of them now and you're going to go to Healthycell, because the studies show that you don't absorb most of the nutrients that you're taking in pill form. And not only are they hard to swallow, but you can't carry them all around. Sometimes it's like we've got like 15 or 16 different types of vitamins, or we forget to take them. Healthycell won't let you do that. It won't let you do that. And by the way, when you take it, you absorb the majority of the nutrients, so you're not wasting your money. That's why doctors and nutritionists created this. And what it comes in is these little packets. They're great tasting. They're totally digestible gels. And I mean, it's kind of like you're taking a mango, right? And it's like a little bit of a mango. It's kind of like taking a little shot of mango drink. And I mean, it's amazing. It's delicious. And it has 165, this is according to studies by doctors, right? And pharmacists, 165% more absorption than pills. I tried it. I ditched the pills. I'm telling you, that's what keeps me going at the border. That's why I take Healthycell Immune Super Boost. It's amazing. So I'm out there. I've told you guys, I've gotten sick before. I've been taking Healthycell. I feel a million times better. It's great tasting. The packs are great. It's effective doses. Help me stay healthy when I'm out on the road. And I know it'll help you too. And that's why I have them as a sponsor for the Sara Carter Show. I mean, I wouldn't do it if I didn't believe in it. Journey to a better health with Healthycell. Go to healthycell.com/Carter. That is healthycell.com/Carter, and use the promo code Carter for, listen to this, 20% off your first order. Again, that's healthycell.com/Carter. Promo code Carter for 20% off your first order. So I am back on the border, and I came down here this week. Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader, was down here, and obviously along with a lot of others. Elise Stefanik was down here. I saw Congressman Chip Roy, among many, many others, and had a chance to talk to them. But one thing that we didn't expect was in the early morning hours on the 27th was that the Texas DPS dive team, did locate the body of Specialist Bishop Evans, the 22-year-old National Guardsman from Arlington, Texas, who jumped into the water to save the lives of others, putting his own life second. And he lost his life. The two that he had jumped in for were saved, but the river took him. And the Rio Grande is a very dangerous and haunting river. It is a haunting river. So many lives have been lost. And I don't even know how to explain to you the kind of somber feeling that kind of fell over this small community of Eagles Pass here when his body was located. Not just the law enforcement officials that came out to honor him, and they gave him a full honor as they brought him out of the river, saluting him along each side, DPS and his those that served with him in the National Guard, as well as the dive team and so many others. Texas Wildlife, Parks and Wildlife were out helping to look for him. So everybody, it was solemn. Everybody was there. I'm sure many of you have seen this on television, the video that was taken by Texas DPS of that moment, a small memorial to his life, for giving his life for others. But the community itself was also feeling it. There was an elderly man, a true Tejano, who's lived on this border his whole life, many generations, his family. And he came down with flowers and balloons and he put them up on this post. And I went over to talk to him. And, he was saying, my father fought in World War II. My brother was in Vietnam. And this young man lost his life protecting our border, protecting our community. And, it was really interesting. You think about people here along the border, you think about what's going on. You have Mexican Americans, Tejanos, people of Mexican descent or Texas descent who have just lived here for generations, hundreds of years, their family, and they understand they're Americans. They're Americans first. And they're like, look, this should not be happening. People are terrified of what they're seeing at this border. And, the Biden administration is completely ignoring the realities of what is going on down here at the expense of the American people, at the expense of those being trafficked into our country, at the expense of our own national security. It is a humanitarian crisis, a national security disaster. It is everything you can imagine it to be. And you will not be immune to it. I'm telling you right now, you are not immune to it. It is coming to your house, to your community, to your children's schools. And it is a fundamental disaster. And this administration will be remembered for the disaster that it is. And poor Specialist, Bishop Evans, who lost his life there, trying to protect our nation. And I want you to listen. I was disgusted by this, to what Press Secretary Jen Psaki said. She was quick to point out that the federal government is not responsible for Specialist Evans' death because he was acting on orders from the state of Texas. Well, he was acting on orders from the state of Texas, Jen Psaki, because the federal government, whose only job is to protect the national security of this country, the executive branch, is not doing it. That is why. Listen to her.
Well, of course, we are mourning the loss of his life, and we are grateful for the work of every National Guardsman. I would note that the National Guard work for the states, and so he is an employee of the Texas National Guard, and his efforts and his operation were directed by there, not by the federal government in this effort, in this apparatus.
I mean, wow. They don't care. They do not care. They are more worried about saving their own ass than anything else. These people really are disgusting. We've got to vote them out. November, I say it, I'm saying it again, guys. November midterms can't come fast enough. 2024 cannot come fast enough. Our nation is in peril with these leaders. Lack of leadership, more likely. What Jen Psaki said should have never been said. Just, say you're sorry. Talk about the family. Understand that a family lost their loved one. They are suffering today. Bishop Evans' grandparents are suffering today. They raised a wonderful, beautiful young man. who was willing to sacrifice his life for others. He is a true hero, a true example of what America is and the greatness of our nation. And that should never be taken away from him. But the only reason that Governor Abbott had to put so many people on that border and need the Texas National Guard is because the federal government is refusing to protect all of us, not just the state of Texas, but all of us. When people from over 170 countries are flooding in, and by the way, the two people that he jumped in for were moving narcotics into our country. We've got Gary Brugman coming up. He is a great friend of mine. In fact, he is family to me. He is family to my husband and I. We live here in Texas. Gary comes over for barbecues all the time, but he has been through so much. Gary was, with the Border Patrol. He was pardoned by President Trump. We've gone into that many times before for actions that he should have never been charged with while protecting our nation on the front lines of the U.S.-Mexico border. And this is what he had to say about what happened with Specialist Evans and what's happening right now with the morale on the U.S.-Mexico border. So glad to have you on, Gary Brugman. You're my good friend. Everybody out there who has listened to the show for a while knows Gary and I have known each other for a lot of years. He's a Border Patrol agent that was pardoned by President Trump and family to me. So thanks for coming on the show, Gary. Thank you once again for having me, Sara. I almost called you Carter. He calls me Carter all the time. It's okay, Gary. It's okay. It was a tough week. I mean, I came back out here on the border. Kevin McCarthy and a codel of congressional members were out here yesterday. And just so you all are aware, it was, on the date line, it was the 27th. They all showed up. And the codel is to basically investigate and see what's been happening down on the border, because obviously we've never been so overwhelmed as we are over this last year under Biden. If everybody remembers, there was a young National Guardsman, 22 years old, Specialist Bishop Evans from Arlington, Texas, who disappeared in an attempt to rescue a couple of people that were drowning in the water. These folks were connected to some illegal migrants and criminals that were bringing narcotics into the United States. Obviously, this young man just saw people drowning. A woman and a man jumped in to save their lives. The two made it out. He disappeared into the river. So yesterday, Gary and everyone out there who's listening, I was out there early in the morning. I got a call. I was in Eagles Pass. I was the first reporter on scene with my cameraman, Tyson, and they found the body. And so they found a young Bishop Evans, who was raised by his grandparents. They obviously were just heartbroken over this. It's been just devastating for their family. And they brought him back, flag draped over his body, an American flag on a raft. They pulled him out of the river and they gave him the most incredible, return to shore. It was basically everyone was saluting him, from DPS to the National Guard, standing alongside as they brought him up to the car to take him away. It was really gut-wrenching. And so I wanted to ask you, Gary, you've been out there. When you were in the Border Patrol, of many incidents where people had to go in, Border Patrol agents or National Guardsmen or others, to save lives. And I know you yourself have done that. Yes, ma'am. I've actually had to jump in the river a couple of times to get some people out of the water. And I've known other agents that's done it as well. And it just really, really upsets me that, they'll make such a big thing about, the Horse Patrol twirling their reins, but not a word about this young specialist that lost his life, and that lost his life trying to save who he thought were two people that were drowning that were actually narcotic smugglers. And it makes no sense to me, the logic behind it. Why can't we just let the world know what happened? Because, of course, they say there's no crisis on the border, right? Because nothing's happening. It's just, it really, really upsets me, Sarah, because this 22-year-old kid was just doing what he thought was right. You brought up such a great point, Gary, because it was like day in and day out, the left was tormenting the Border Patrol agents from Horse Patrol. I mean, tormenting them, calling them racist, making it appear to be that they were out there whipping migrants that were coming across the river. By the way, a very dangerous river, as everyone can now see. I mean, and I hope people understand this, because even the day that Bishop Evans went missing, I was here back in Eagles Pass, and I was getting ready to get on Sean's show. And just as we got on Sean's show, a body had floated down the river and was sitting on a little levee, an island in the middle of the river. 3 people had lost their lives that day. This river is no joke. It might look still from the top, but it has an undercurrent that is extremely dangerous. And, you know, when our Border Patrol agents try to stop people from crossing, right, Gary? I'm guessing it's like there's a reason for that, right? They don't want to have to jump in and save more lives. They don't want to lose any more lives.
Yeah, I mean, that river is notorious for taking lives. And not just like recently. If you look at the history of the Rio Grande, or the Rio Bravo, as they call it in Mexico, I mean, ever since the days of the Old West, it's been consuming lives. And, you know, of course, we don't want anybody to die, but they always make a run for the river. They make a run across the river. And, you know, there's parts of the river that are hard to cross, but there's still parts of the river that are like shin deep. But everybody wants to cross to where the populated area is, and that river there is about 15, go anywhere from 5 to 30 feet in a second.
That's what I mean. I was out there in one area of the river out here in Eagles Pass, and I was talking to, no, actually it was in Mcallen. Let me correct myself here. It was in Mcallen last week after I left Eagles Pass. And I was near, there's like Chimney Park out there near Mcallen. And one of the people that lived out in that area said, you know, part of this river here goes down 80 feet because that car had gone into the river. I guess there was an accident and a car had gone into the river. And in order to fish it out, they had to go down 80 feet to pull that car out. That's pretty incredible.
Exactly. And you know, the other thing that I've been thinking, you know, is this young specialist died, Bishop Evans. And he died trying to save 2 drug smugglers. And if somebody loses their life trying to help somebody that committed the crime, to me, that's murder. You know, even though who knows if they even drowned them. I mean, we don't know this.
Right.
And this is just how I feel, because I'm telling you, I've arrested people on the border, and they'll do whatever it takes to not be arrested. You know, and if they're drowning, it could have been that they were thinking they were drowning and drowned him by mistake, or maybe they didn't want to get caught, drowned them on purpose. I don't know.
You brought up a really important point, Gary. That's a really important point. Like, is anybody responsible for this? I mean, they were crossing not only illegally, but more importantly, they were bringing narcotics into our country, which is killing our children anyways and killing our people.
Exactly. And I don't know what they were bringing, but all the fentanyl and all the marijuana and everything that comes across, black tar, heroin, everything comes across that river.
I want you to know that you're not the only one. I received a text message from an ICE officer that said almost the exact same things. You know, they said the sad part is that the soldier died because of the policies that are put in place by the Biden administration. I bet the drug mules didn't even get charged with murder or even manslaughter. If an American citizen did something reckless in the commission of a crime that resulted in an officer dying, it would be all over the front page of the news, and a series of felony charges would ensue.
Exactly.
And that's true.
Exactly. And the sad part is if an agent or an officer or somebody would have taken the life of a drug smuggler, that agent or officer would immediately come under investigation, because they'll try to put him in prison like they did to me. But
Gary,
when it results in the officer or the National Guardsman or our people losing their life, nothing happens. Nothing happens. And this administration is just backwards. It's just backwards. And all the old agents are retiring because it's just done. And I mean, a lot of people are tired, Sarah.
You think morale is as low as everyone's saying? I talked to Chris Cabrera. He just says it's in the dumps. I talk to the agents on the front line. I talk to people all the time that are telling me, not just with them. I mean, anybody who's working this border is frustrated. They're angry. They feel like no one's listening to them. They feel like they're just, in a theater, making stuff up, pretending to arrest people only to see them released into the United States. And now you have incidents like this where, honestly, we never even heard from the president about this young man putting his life on the front line. We never even heard from, Alejandro Mayorkas in days. So what's going on here?
I mean, right now, all they're really concerned is that the new thing in DHS and CBP is resiliency. Everybody wants everybody to be resilient. They want them to process faster. All the Border Patrol has gotten from Mayorkas and from Chief Ortiz are empty promises. Not one change in policy or procedure, nothing that results in or even addresses, the burden that's been crushing the agents, since last January. I mean, it's just crazy. The chief still says it's not a crisis, and it's just a surge. Well, it's about to get worse. It's going to get worse. I understand that a judge put a hold on the lifting of Title 42. Thank God, but that's just a Band-Aid right now.
It is. And do you think what do you think it's going to take? What do you think it's going to take for people to actually pay attention? I mean, look, we just lost a life. I thought that would be significant enough.
No, nobody. It doesn't. I mean, we care. But it doesn't seem like anybody else does because it's not on the news. I mean, it's barely making the news. The administration hasn't even addressed it. I mean, I haven't even heard the chief of the Border Patrol come down, say he's coming down to Eagle Pass to find it out. Rodney Scott would have been there in a heartbeat, to find out what happened to that National Guardsman. And now they're trying to blame the governor of Texas for it. I mean, I'm sorry the guy lost his life, but he did jump in to try to do the right thing.
Well, and if he didn't jump in, then what would they say about him?
Well, he stood idly by and watched the people drown, and then he would have been up on charges.
Well, I am going to tell you this. Chief Ortiz was there. He was there yesterday. I did see Chief Ortiz there yesterday, and I did talk to him, and he finally agreed to an interview. He did not discuss the incident as much, but he talked about the overwhelming numbers. And honestly, I got to tell you, there was a feeling, he really had to push because we have, obviously it comes from the top down, right? They agreed. So I'm not going to say why they agreed to do the interview, which has not aired yet. It will air on Sean's show. But they agreed on the spot eventually to do the interview, which I was grateful for. But I got to tell you, you can feel the tension. You can feel it. It's political. It cuts thick, and everybody's nervous. Nobody's saying what they really feel. Everybody's just kind of walking on eggshells, and it's a tragedy because people are losing their lives. I'm going to leave the last part to you, Gary. I know I pulled you off the road, just so, Gary's driving. He's working. I made him pull off the road so he could do this interview because I felt there's no one better to talk about this than Gary. But I want to give you the last word, Gary, to talk to the American people about what it means, what it was like for you, what it is like for you when you talk to agents that are your friends and out there on the front line, and what this loss of life means here in Texas.
Well, Sarah, from what I hear, getting back to Chief Ortiz just for 1 minute, he was a great chief when he was in the Rio Grande Valley and in Del Rio, and a lot of people loved him. I know he's in a tight spot where he's at, but he's not supporting the troops. The morale is at an all-time low, and how do we change it? Sarah, honestly, what they need to do, and I don't think it will ever happen with this administration, is they need to let the agents do their job the way it's supposed to be done and enforce the laws that are on. We don't need new laws. We don't need more agents. We don't need more equipment. We have everything we need, but what they're not doing is letting them do their job. The political controversy that goes on every day in the patrol, because it's one of the biggest political law enforcement agencies that there is just, it just kills the morale. And this country deserves better. This country deserves better than just letting everybody in. This country deserves better than Joe Biden. This country deserves better than everything that this administration is putting out. We were at an all-time high with the previous administration, and I don't think anybody can destroy this country quicker if they tried. But I just want to let the people know that there are agents out there that care about what they do. They're just tired because they don't know what to do. Policies change on the fly. Policies change day by day. One day they're doing this, next day comes down from the top. We got to change and do this, because I talk to agents almost every day, from here to Yuma, Arizona. and they just got their hands tied. They're just doing what they can to patch up the dam.
You brought up so many good points, and you're right, Gary, and you're right. And I think everybody out there knows, especially, and you should know now, I mean, everyone that's listening to this should know now, people put their lives on the line every single day for strangers. And what Bishop Evans did, that specialist, 22 years old, lost his life, is something that almost every single agent that I've met out on the front lines, Border Patrol agent, DPS, officer, everybody who I've spoken to who works on this border would do for a complete stranger. These are selfless men and women who put themselves second, and we need to start honoring that. And from your mouth to God's ears, Gary, that this administration and the next allows them to do their job, so there is less loss of life, and that they're able to make a difference in our country, because you're right, our nation does deserve better. We don't deserve to have a wide open border where terrorists and everybody else and drug dealers can come through, or where children could be harmed by predators, or women abused or slave traded inside a free country like the United States. Thank you for being a part of the Sara Carter Show, Gary. I'm going to bring you back on, buddy. I just love sitting here and talking to you about it because I think it's important.
Whenever you want, I'm a phone call away.
Man, I love having Gary on the show. He is great. I think it's so important to hear from agents and to hear from people who have actually lived through that experience. And he's right. I mean, we got to look at what Specialist Evans did. He was a hero. We cannot forget it, but what an important point, right, to bring up. And it's what I told you. I'm hearing from ICE officers as well as Border Patrol agents. What are these people going to be charged with? I mean, they were bringing narcotics into the United States. Maybe we better hold them accountable for what they did and for putting this man's life on the line. And I agree with the ICE officer. Why not even just manslaughter? We would never be able to get away with this. There is good news, though, on one front, and that is with Title 42. My good friend, Mark Brnovich, he's the Attorney General in Arizona. He has been on our show frequently. He just tweeted out, he said, "I'm so proud of the lawyers from our office who just got a temporary restraining order to keep Title 42 in place. Thank you, thank you, thank you for fighting the good fight, Attorney General. We will continue to fight the Biden administration's open border policies," Brnovich stated, and we'll have Brnovich on again very soon as we learn much more about this case, and we'll speak with him about that. Guys, before I close up the show, I want to tell you about another great sponsor of our show, and that's AMAC. I know I talk to you about it all the time. I love them. They are the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC believes in fighting the good fight against reckless government spending and the ever-expanding scope of the federal government. And we've seen that a lot under the Biden administration. They believe in helping small businesses, securing our borders, supporting our military, and respecting our veterans. They stand for the flag and kneeling before God. By joining AMAC, you are taking the first steps in saving the America you love, folks. AMAC offers an alternative to just about every benefit that other group offers, but without the liberal agenda. I stand with AMAC, and I hope that you will too. I encourage you to join today at amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter. The benefits of membership are great, but guess what? The cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. Guys, before I wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. The left wants us to believe that guns cause crime instead of criminals. They want us to believe that guns just get up, walk around, and do their own thing. Well, we're not that dumb. They do not do that. Criminals do that. And there's evidence of that everywhere around in our country. For example, in some of the cities like Chicago and other places like New York, where gun restrictions are the toughest, people are getting killed on the street. Why? Because guns end up in the hands of criminals who buy them illegally, not legally. And of course, there are incidences where things happen. But guys, there's a reason for the Second Amendment, and it goes far, far beyond what the left wants you to think. And this isn't about hunting. This is not about hunting. Well, thankfully, we still have people like Santa Rosa County, Florida Sheriff Bob Johnson. I want you to hear this. He makes it clear that he wants his citizens to be armed and ready to defend their lives, their families, and their property. And guess what? I agree with you, Sheriff.
And I want to say, as to the person, we don't know which homeowner shot at him. I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. So whoever that was, you're not in trouble. Come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday. And if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money. So with that, questions?
I love him. He's great. And he's right. Think about what Gary said earlier, right, in the show. Like, is anybody going to get charged with putting the officers' lives in danger, right? But if an officer doing his job, it does anything to a migrant, even if they're a drug dealer crossing that border, they are going to be put on suspension. They are going to be investigated. Their lives are going to be turned upside down. We saw that not only with Gary's case, but with Ramos and Compeán in the past. I'll put some of that up on my website, saraacarter.com. Go there. You can see some of these issues and we can talk about it there. But with Gary and with others, they get charged. Look at what happened to the Border Patrol agents on horseback and how their names were dragged through the mud and how they were made out to be these horrific racists when none of that was true. Here's a sheriff that says, you know what? Bring back common sense. Give the people the right to defend their own homes and their own families. We're not going to come after you. We're not going to charge you if a criminal breaks his leg in your house because he slipped on the mop and glow on your floor on the way out. We're going to thank you and we're going to give you some training. So thank you, Sheriff. I hope to have Sheriff Bob Johnson on my show too. I'm going to reach out to him, see if he'll come on the show. And thank you for all being a part of the Sara Carter Show. It means so much to me. I love to read your reviews. Please download the podcast wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Also, come to saraacarter.com. That is saraacarter.com. You can find all the links to not only the podcast, but all my social media there. And you can get the latest stories. We've got some great stories coming up. And just stay in touch. Let's stay in touch together. Let's utilize the town squares that we have, whether that's Truth, I'm on Truth, whether that is, Twitter. And let's keep talking. Let's save our nation. We have November and we have 2024. And believe me, a lot can happen between now and then. So it's up to all of us to stay connected, to stay together, to be a part of that town square, and to win our nation back. Again, thank you for being a part of the Sara Carter Show. God bless you. God bless our great nation. And God bless the great state of Texas. And please pray for Specialist Bishop Evans, who gave his life in service of his country.
Hi everyone, Steve Hilton here. You may have seen my show, The Next Revolution, on Fox News, but did you know about my podcast, California Rebel Base? I live in California. I suffer, along with millions of people, the consequences of the left-wing madness that we get shoved down our throats all the time by the Democrats who've been in charge here in what is pretty much a one-party state. Well, I've started this show, California Rebel Base, to fight back, to be a platform for all the rebels who are trying to change things and turn things around. And the reason it matters to everyone, wherever you live, is because, as we know, the left-wing madness that starts in California does not end in California. It can infect the whole country. So we need to fight back. To help us do that, make sure you join us at California Rebel Base. You can follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to have you part of this movement.